now let's move on to our main topic, which is Minnesota. And throughout these series of podcasts, we're trying to show that Minnesota is a hub for Carnatic music and how we have so much culture and have so much tradition for Carnatic music. And it's not seen as well as it is in the West Coast, in the southern part, like in Dallas, in San Francisco, in the East Coast, and some parts in the Midwest, like Chicago. So those cities have, a big pubs for Carnatic music, and Minnesota is just there. So we want to show that Minnesota has all this culture. So tell us about your initial move to Minnesota and how things were.
Um, Minnesota is very close to my heart. I first landed in the US in Minneapolis, in Eden Prairie, back in 1998. And I always wanted, and then I went to different other places, but in the deep of my heart, I wanted to somehow come back to Minnesota. And it was just, providence. They say if you want something, you want it so badly that the universe conspires to give it to you. Something like that happened to me, I think, because it was not a straightforward thing that I could take up a job in Minneapolis and come to Minneapolis. The job came in search of me, that I moved to Minneapolis. So it was really interesting how that happened. Back when I was in '98, when I came here, I met a few friends. Primarily Vijay and Leela Mami, who I knew, were always there here. They're like my parking lot of Minnesota. At any time I think Minnesota, I would think about them. And I was in touch with Vijay and Mami and everybody else throughout the time from '98 till 2004, 2005 when I moved back. Um, I think Minnesota has grown quite a bit in terms of its reach of Carnatic music and what it has been doing, and it has the potential to grow more thanks to the efforts of people like yourselves as well and the upcoming music community. So, both in thinking about it from different perspectives. One is from the perspective of, is the government supportive of the arts? The government here is very, very supportive of the arts. There are people like Nirmala Rajshekara. If I start talking about Nirmala Rajshekar, there is Nirmala ji, there is no start and there is no end, right? I'm so thankful for two things about Nirmala, about how she has helped shape my Carnatic music career. One is providing opportunities. Having come to Minneapolis, allowing me to come and play with her, and introducing me to several other people here. On the other hand, also, doing so many other things, running her Nadarasa School of Music, teaching so many students, and then introducing me to Bhupati sir, which is, my life turned a new page after I got introduced to Bhupati sir. And had it not been for Nirmala, that introduction would not have happened. So a lot of things, have happened in Minnesota. And today Nirmala is, the torchbearer of Carnatic music in the world for Veena, and particularly for Minnesota. If people know Minnesota on the Carnatic music map of the world, then that starts with Nirmala. A small example I want to tell you, that Nirmala was probably not the first to come to Minnesota to bring Minnesota Carnatic music to Minnesota, and that I came to know because I accompanied Nirmala in one of her concerts at Winona State University, where she had just finished playing Kiravani Devi Niye Tune. And after finishing the main piece, there was a Q&A round. And a lady, an American lady, a teacher there, music teacher, she, wanted to ask a question. And the first question was that Kiravani Devi Niye? And in a completely non-Indian audience, it was really surprising that we could get that feedback from a member of the audience. And she's like, oh, this is a song that I had given my students to listen to and understand more about Kiravani. And then we came to know that T. Ranga sir, who was the brother of Brindama Muktama, had come here, and he was an artist in residence in Winona State University in the 60s and early 70s. So Carnatic music has come to Minnesota much before, but then there was a big gap of time when it did not flourish as much. Um, there have been efforts of people like Dr. Premanand, who started Indian Music Society of Minnesota back in 1978, 1979. There is records of Balamurali sir coming and singing here. I have tapes of them singing of him his concert here. Upendran sir coming having and performed here twice, once with Balamurali sir and with flute Ramani sir. Uh, the introduction concert of IMSAM was by MLV Amma in Rochester at the Mayo Civic Center. So, this whole seed of Carnatic music was placed early on, and that seed has now grown. It's very nice to see, thanks to the efforts of so many people, that it has grown to where it is today, and it has a very bright future, especially with people like you. I'm just another part. I'm just a change agent. That's how I look at myself. In whatever way I'm able to do, I'm trying to do my part. But again, I'm not enough to make the changes that are necessary to bring Carnatic music to its full blossom, and that's what you guys are doing. So fantastic work that you are doing. Thank you so much. Keep practicing. That's all that I can say. But that's my a little bit of Minnesota. Sorry, I probably took more than what I
Yeah.
thought I.
No
Oh,
problem.
no problem, no problem. Sriram uncle, you mentioned growth in Minnesota and how it's grown so fast over the years. And in my eyes, and I think the whole Carnatic music community's eyes in Minnesota, um, I think the growth elixir from the 2000s to from the early 2000s to now has been you with your contributions with Laya Sadam and and IMSOM. Can you tell us how you got into those organizations, how you made Laya Sadam, how you got into IMSOM, and your role as of right now in both those organizations?
So, first of all, I don't think I'm doing a lot. I'm only doing what I think is coming my way. I'm just trying to push it forward. So, we all get opportunities. It's up to us how we want to take that opportunity and do something about it. Um, doing participating with Indian Music Society of Minnesota, I didn't know about the existence of IMSOM when I came here back in '98. I was here for a brief 5 to 6 month period of time, and but thereafter, as I got introduced to Nirmala and Leela Mami introduced me again to several other people. Anu Krish, we've got Veena Sitaram, we've got so many other people here. That's how I said, okay, there's more happening here with Carnatic music. And then there was this Mandolin Srinivas concert that I attended that Bobadiyana played. That was in 2006. That's when I got introduced to Bobadiyana as well. So then, okay, there's IMSOM, we got to do something about it. I want to be part of it. So when I was in Boston previously for my work back in 99, 2000, there's an organization called MITAS, MIT Heritage of Arts of South Asia. So I used to volunteer there. So I said, here's my opportunity to, volunteer, bring back my MITAS days into IMSOM. That's what I did. So that's how I got associated with IMSOM. And being able to organize, do everything, laying the rug to setting up the microphone, to understanding all of that, helping. That's how I started my thing. And then after I got associated with Bhupati Anna, there was two ways in which I could learn mridangam. One is me going to Chennai, or Bhupati Anna coming here. So me going to Chennai was in my hand. Me bringing Bhupati Anna here was in some other organization's hand that would not have been, in my control. So I said, okay, what if I did something that I could, bring him here on tour so that, I got to learn Mridangam from him. That's how that started. The idea of opening up an organization called Layasaram was initially just to start, concert tours for Bhupati Anna, and then that expanded into, okay, then we could do a little bit more. Few others here got together, and we said, let's put up a motto of what we are trying to do, perform, educate, and collaborate. That's what we go by. So being able to, bring opportunities for people to perform, being able to bring artists on tour and making them, perform across the US. Those were some of the key drivers behind doing this. And, all of people like Ethirajan, people like Balaji, Nirmala, of course, all of them have been part of, advising me or guiding me in doing what is right and what is not right. There's Shankaran, whom you've spoken with as well. Another, the way I look at it is whenever I see a new Carnatic musician, I'm like, okay, wow, so, okay, one more Carnatic musician is here. Now we've got an opportunity to bring this, make this slightly bigger than what it was. So that's how I've been always thinking about this. So, with especially with Bhupati Anna's guidance, I've been able to do much more than what I thought I might ever been able to do, both as a musician and also a little bit as an organizer, but more so as a mridangist, as an individual, as a human being. I've benefited a lot because of that.
Yeah. And because of your contribution to Layasaram, us as students have gotten so much more um, listening wise through Carnatic musics, whether it be lectures, whether it be Muthuswami Dikshitaradhanas, whether it be the concerts, and it's been so much of an influence to the younger generation. Speaking on their behalf, it's been so much of an influence because of the because of what you're doing, Shriram uncle. It's I think it's impacted me, at least I can't speak for anybody else, but it's impacted me very greatly because I get that's one of the only times I get to listen to concerts live and see, the interactions on stage and everything.
Well, that's the thing. If I'm able to impact one person, that one person can impact so many other people, right? And that's what you are trying to do. So all of little things that we are trying to do to impact people, that is what is growing. We brought Ranganatha Sharma sir on tour, and then Sahana started learning from Ranganatha Sharma sir. So now we've got a new Bani of Carnatic music,
Yeah.
in Minnesota that we can call our own, which is so
Yeah.
nice. Sometimes we get to see the impact of what we are doing, sometimes we don't. Just because we are not able to see the impact of what we are doing doesn't mean that the impact is not there. There will always be impact. And most of the time, if you do it with your sincere heart, then the impact will be good.
Very true. Very true.
So, Uncle, apart from playing Mridangam, we've noticed that you also accompany four Mridangam artists by playing Ganjira. So, tell us about how Ganjira came into your life and how you started playing that for concerts.
Actually, Ganjira started playing me. I didn't start playing Ganjira. Uh, I'll tell you how that happened. Uh, we had Bhupati Anna on a tour. After a long time, he came on a tour with Fruit Mala Chandrasekhar, and I think this was in 2009.
No, 2009 or 2010. Yeah.
So, and he said, "Oh, we are playing this concert. You got to play with me on stage." So, and I had barely started learning from him, and I was really not confident at all. And he's like, நீங்கள் ஒரு கஞ்சீரா எடுத்து நீங்கள் உட்காந்துக்கோங்க பக்கத்தில் சார் என்கிட்ட கஞ்சீராவே கிடையாது சார் அப்படின்னு சொன்னேன். உடனே பாலாஜி of course came to my rescue. His Mantol Ganjira is what I played for that concert. It is the
Yeah.
worst concert I've ever played in my life, right? If I could go back and change any one concert in my life, it would be that concert, right? But then it again, as I started off saying, right, in every bad thing also there is one good thing that might happen, right? So while I learned how to not play Ganjira in that concert, right? Just by sitting next to Bhupati Anna, I learned how not to play Ganjira, right? And halfway through the, in the break, I went backstage and I said, Bhupati Anna, என்னை மன்னிச்சுக்கோங்க, நான் வந்து கர்நாடிக் மியூசிக்கே லாயக்கு இல்லை, நான் வாசிக்க கூடாது, சாரி, நான் அது ரொம்ப நான் வந்து நீங்க பெரிய மனசு பண்ணி என்னை உட்காத்தி வச்சுட்டு, நான் வாசிக்கிறதா இல்லை சாரி அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவேன். அதுக்கு இல்லை இல்லை, இது வந்து மேடை வந்து சரஸ்வதி பீடம், நீங்கள் வந்து உட்காருங்கோ, ஒன்றும் இல்லை, நீங்கள் உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சது வாசிங்கோ, நாட் அ ப்ராப்ளம். ஸோ அந்த ஒரு ஒரு பெரிய மனசு பண்ணி, இஃப் ஹி ஹேஸ் டு பிரிங் மீ அண்ட் ஆஸ்க் மீ டு play with him, that's a huge trust that he had in me, right? And I had a feeling as though I belied his trust. But besides the point, that was my baptism by fire into Ganjira. And every time I would have lessons with Bhupadirna, he would bring up something about the Ganjira. So I've had so many opportunities to potentially have dedicated Ganjira lessons from dedicated Ganjira Vidwan, but I never had the drive, or I never wanted to go anywhere beyond Bhupadirna. So I try to restrict myself as much as possible to playing Mridangam. But Ganjira is something I would also like to play simply because that instrument touches my heart. That's all.
Yeah. And that Mantol Ganjira was actually my first Ganjira. Yeah, just a little bit of history there. Yeah, I was the first Ganjira I ever played. I still play it today, and I never actually knew that it had that much history behind it. But I'm glad I still get to play that Ganjira because it has so much meaning.
Yeah, and it's interesting that when I came here to Minneapolis first time, actually it was not that time. In 2000, I came to Minneapolis to play for. There was this a group called I forget the name that we had it. So we had a group that we had formed. Fazal, Vijay, and a few of us. We had formed a light music group. So I had come to play from Boston for that concert, and
Mhm.
there was one song, a Hindi song by the name "Kyun Chalti Hai Pavan," and for that we needed a ganjira, and somehow I had a ganjira that I had carried from India that I had brought to Boston at that time, and I brought that ganjira with me here, and that ganjira was in that side rhythm bag with Fazal. And Fazal had handed over that Ganjira to Balaji. And then Balaji gave me that Ganjira back after I started playing. Right. So I still have that Ganjira. So there's one Ganjira that has traveled across, locations, time, and come back to me. The oldest Ganjira I've had, and it still sounds really very nice. So I still play on that one. But sorry, that's a lot of Ganjira
Very
history.
cool. Very cool. So, Sriram uncle, besides your Carnatic, I mean, I shouldn't say besides because this also kind of correlates to Carnatic music, but you're also playing a very big part in the Chimya mission. Can you tell us your role in? Can you tell us your role in the school and how it correlates with your Carnatic music life and stuff like that?
Well, Chinmaya Mission, we've been part of Chinmaya Mission since 2010 or so. That's when Sanskrit started to go there. I did not get imbibed so much into Chinmaya Mission until 2016 or so. That's when we took a trip to Kailash Manasarovar. After that, I sort of got more and more deeply involved with Chinmaya Mission than ever before. Of course, Suchitra, my wife, she's been part of that. She's been teaching there. The music teacher there, Shubha, and Shubha and I go many years back, 2004, 2005. That's when we had a program at the Sai Mandir. That's when Shubha had sang. So Shubha is a trained Carnatic singer, and she's the music teacher at Chinmaya Mission. And so the people in Chinmaya Mission had been wanting me to go there and teach Mridangam. And for me, starting up Mridangam classes in Chinmaya Mission, as much as it might be a great idea to start with, it didn't, gel with the overall, theme of what Chinmaya Mission is there for. So I wanted to do something that would further the purpose of Chinmaya Mission, right? So while Shubha was teaching the kids, vocal bhajans, I said, okay, let me try and see if I can teach some people to accompany for those bhajans. So I started off with, opening up, okay, I can, if you already know tabla or mridangam or drums or any rhythm instrument, you can come and I can start. That's how I started, and I didn't get a lot of traction. And Sanskrit, my son at that time was learning violin, so and he was playing violin as part of the vocal group. So I said, okay, why don't we take all of the musicians and try to form a musical orchestral group that would accompany the bhajan. So we ended up creating Chinmaya Instrumental Swaranjali, which is happens only in Minnesota. We've seen a lot of other Chinmaya Balavihars around the US, but none of them have a separate dedicated instrumental group. So that's what we have formed. So essentially, if you have knowledge of any musical instrument, the only condition is that you should be able to understand your instrument and be able to play Western notes. So, I also got the opportunity to learn Western notations a little bit more than what I knew before, and the little nuances between different instruments. So we've got a clarinet player, we've got a saxophone player. An A clarinet is different from a B flat saxophone, right? And the scales are different, and all of those little nuances, right? We've got four flute players, we've got one keyboard player, we've got three violinists. So that's the kind of a group. And then we've got one of my students who plays mridangam, dholki, and everything, bongos, and then another one also plays side rhythm. So that's how we formed this, and we've been doing this for the past 4 or 5 years now, and it's been going on well.
Wow, nice, nice. So, getting into your Western experience as well, you also play the keyboard. Can you tell us if you did you learn the keyboard formally, or did you was it self-taught or something like that?
So my initiation to playing anything on the keyboard was when my voice cracked, when I started learning back in 86, 87, when I started learning Carnatic music, vocal. After the second year or so, my voice cracked, and when my voice cracked, at that time I had that three shruti box, right? Four, 4.5, 5, or something like that, or 4.5, 5, 5.5. Those are the three shrutis that we could, it's a bellows based shruti box. I don't see that nowadays, but that's what I had. So um, one of our neighbors at that time had a harmonium that they wanted to get rid of, and my mom again came to my rescue. She went and talked to them, and she bought me that harmonium. So I used to play the geethams and everything on the harmonium, while instead of just giving shruti. So that's how my introduction, or self-taught approach to playing keyboards or whatever, right, happened. And then I had the opportunity of joining a person called as R.P. Rajan. He is regarded as Bombay Ilayaraja, and I
Mm.
part of his writing group. So through that, I have played mridangam, I have played keyboard, I have played accordion, I have played bongos, all kinds of side rhythms, all of that. So sort of that experience of being in an orchestral setting came from there. And I was part of that group for almost 5 6 years. We toured across India. We've played in different settings. We played with singers like Jayachandran. We've had one SPB Balasubramaniam show, things like that. So, that understanding of how Indian ragas can be represented or presented in a Western instrument, and how that four or five instruments, when they come together, how does different melodies play together as the harmony, was something that I was introduced to back then. So that's how I brought that here. So in 2000, one of the concerts that we did here, I played accordion, and I also played side rhythms. But then, when I came back to Minnesota in 2004, 2005, I realized that while I like to play, keyboard, all of those instruments, melodic instruments, that's not what my core competence is. My core competence was rhythm and mridangam. So I decided to, keep all of that on the side and focus on this, what my core was, and that's how I came back into mridangam. Otherwise, for a brief period in my life, I was not playing mridangam at all.
Mm. Interesting, interesting.
So, Uncle, you were talking about different places and organizations that you continue to play for. So, uh, we both can say this. So we participated in God Satsang and All in One. So tell us first about God Satsang and your experiences there, and then let's move on to All in One after that.
Okay, so that's sort of in reverse order because all in one came first and then God Satsang came. Since you asked, I'll tell you how you asked. God Satsang came as a result of Priya Murali's introduction to the Twin Cities music scene. The Priya and I together collaborated on several initiatives. Right now, we are doing a Spirit of Margari Utsavam that is happening in December. Every day we are doing an event, all virtual. But Priya Murali's background with Sri Muralidhara Swamigal happened, and she tried to introduce us into the music of and the philosophy of Nama chanting. That's how I got introduced to it, and the fact that we did so many different small programs, and there used to be weekend satsangs and things like that. But then we decided to do, and I think Prasid, it was your initiative as well. I think you were one of the strongest proponents of. We have to do this every month. Let's do a big
Yeah,
one, Nama Sankirtanam thing
yeah,
every month, so that
yeah,
Nama Sankirtanam, that thing got started. Really helped us, and even now I am trying to sing there, not because I would know to sing, but I would like to understand, the language, understand the philosophy of what is being said, what Swamiji has written. A little, tidbit that happened was, I happened to go to see Swamiji in 2 or 3 years back in Chennai, and he asked me to sing there. And I'm like, Swamiji, எனக்கு பாட தெரியாது. இல்லை பாடுங்கோ அப்படின்னு சொன்னார். ஸோ அப்படின்னு சொன்னோன்னே நான் வந்து பாட ஆரம்பிச்சேன். சரி, அவர் ஏதோ என்னை பாட சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காரு. அப்போ நம்ம வந்து இந்த மந்த்லி நாம சங்கீர்த்தனத்தில் பாடினா என்ன, எஸ்பெஷலி நவ் தட் சம்ஸ்கிருத் இஸ் டன் வித் இஸ் காலேஜ் அண்ட் திங்ஸ், ஸ்கூல் அண்ட் ஆல் இஸ் இன் காலேஜ். I thought, that's one time when I can work towards, understanding bhajan and being able to present the bhajan in whatever humble form. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's the God Satsang impact to me and to Minnesota at large.
yeah. And some backstory on the reason that I wanted to do monthly Nama Sankirtanams. So Sriram uncle had been a very part of the performing ensemble of God Satsang. We went to I remember we went to Wisconsin one time. We performed for was it Mel Harmony Festival, right? So, and we had numerous Radha Kalyanams, and I was like, well, it's a really good thing for everybody to get together, and I love seeing everybody playing and just having fun. So I was like, this is I just want to see this happen. So, and Sriram uncle and Priya auntie and all the people that got some perform made it happen beautifully. So that's some backstory on that. So now can we come into your all-in-one experience? Huh?
This is another example of if you want something, you want it so hard that the universe conspires.
Yeah. Yeah. So now let's come into your all-in-one experience. I know you've been a part of, yeah. Go ahead.
All in happened with, of course, Ramki Mama being, an proponent of Carnatic music from the Dr. Premanand ji's times from Minnesota, and who was taken away from Minnesota to California, and then who came back here because of Swami Uncle's insistence on being able to do something about this. This concept that Swami Uncle had. So the idea was that there was one day when we celebrate all of these gods. There are 18 different gods. All of these gods are really the same from our Hindu temple. So that was the idea, and Mama came, and as usually that happens, right? Who are all the musicians in the city? Somebody from outside comes, and I get called, Balaji gets called, a few Ethirajan gets called, a few other people who are here get called, and then we find time and we go and meet, and we see there's something we can do and we participate. That happened with Kanix when he had his event. Ethirajan and I sang as part of Kanix group, which was very different. I don't know whether you guys remember. Maybe you were very young from that time. I think this was 2012. I think
Mm,
Kanix was here
okay.
when he. Yes, I forget the name of the production too. It was Shanti was his big production, but then he had done something for Minnesota. So um, again, Ramki Mama wanted to do that, and then he and I somehow up when we met first time,
Mhm.
saying that we could do something. And what in my mind, here is a guy who has nothing to gain, right? He is based in California. He has a friend in Minnesota. He used to be in Minnesota. All that he cares is growing of Carnatic music. So he is like an inspiration for all of us, right? How can one person be so selfless that he spends money out of pocket, takes airplane flight, comes here and sits in, stays in people's homes, books his own car, has his own car rental, goes around and teaches people in his free time, spending doing so many other things. He gives that time to us, and time is, I think, the biggest, the biggest asset that one person has is time. So if somebody is giving you time, that's the only thing that cannot be replaced. Right? Everything else can, have some kind of a replacement. Time has no replacement. He is giving us time. So, that kind of moved me to an extent that I said, okay, how about I share what I know with him, and that way he will share what he knows. That way we together are able to grow the presence of music, and the idea of all in one really is about that which the heart that beats in you is the heart that beats in me. In some way we are connected because the same life form is in each of us, so that all in one has that larger than life approach to things, from just an idea perspective, and then it's up to us how we make it happen, right? It's not a mandir initiative. Maybe mandir is starting the initiative, but music is not a mandir initiative, right? Music has been there before everybody and will be there after everybody. So just like that, all in one has been a fantastic influence. We also had Mama participate, collaborate with Bring the Chinmay Mission kids one year. They came and they sang. So, being able to just bring the community together, I think it has been a huge initiative from Mama.
Yeah. And this initiative actually started in 2010, so it's supposed to be the 20th year, if I'm not mistaken,
10th
right?
year.
Ah, yeah, 10th year. Sorry. Yeah. So it's supposed to be our 10th year celebration, but due to COVID reasons, we couldn't make it happen. But like you said, Mama and has made such a good initiative to happen, and it's been a treat for all of us. So, Uncle, I don't know exactly how to form this, but I've heard that you've attend. I don't know if it's took class from Raghu sir or went to Raghu sir's lectures, like took a month to stay with Raghu sir, but I don't know the exact relationship. But can you tell us about the time that you spent with Raghu sir, Palakkad Raghu sir?
Yeah, this was, I had mentioned this earlier when I was talking about my earlier formative years of learning. So Raghu sir used to come to Bombay to a place called NCPA, National Center for the Performing Arts, and on a grant from the government of India, and that NCPA would bring in artists from different places, right? So he would come and stay at NCPA, and NCPA's director at that time, I forget his name, Prasanna Nair or something like that. I may be wrong about the name, but the director of NCPA used to facilitate this. So in some ways, I'm thinking about me being in Bombay at that time, having had the resources, right? He was doing, what I'm trying to do Here he was doing with NCPA over there, right? He would bring Raghu sir from and several other artists. I know MD Ramanathan sir has come. I know DK Jagaraman sir has come. A lot of those artists come and then they stay for.
Oh,
I'll take it a little back, and then you can cut and bring that back in. So Raghu sir, okay, Adita, okay. Raghu sir used to come to Bombay at the National Center for Performing Arts. That was a grant that used to be funded by the government of India, and the director of NCPA used to bring people from different parts of India, including from Chennai. So people like MD Ramanathan sir, or people like DK Jayaraman sir. All of those people have also come, and Raghu sir used to be there as well. So my experience with Raghu sir was 3 summers for a month. We would have classes every day. The class used to be exactly about 30 minutes, right? That's as much time he would have, because his day would be typically split. Weekdays would be classes would be in the evening. Weekends would be classes will be in the morning. So there will be class all 7 days, right? And weekends evening la avarku kacheri irukum. So you can also go and listen to his kacheris. Many of the kacheris will be in NCPA itself. Sometimes they will be ticketed, sometimes they will be free. So, and then he will also perform other parts of Bombay. So you could also go with him, in the car, or we take the train and go. He goes, do things like that. So that 1 month will be like a complete immersion into the world of music. So everything from lifting his mridangam to seeing how he's tuning his mridangam, Shruti Setufai. I didn't know that மிருதங்கத்தோட புல்லால ஒரு தட்டினாலும் வந்து மிருதங்கம் கேட்கும் அப்படின்னு அந்த லெவலில் அவர் வந்து மிருதங்கம் ஸ்ருதி சேர்க்கறது வந்து பார்க்கறதுக்கே ஒரு 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 இல் பி லேர்னிங் எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் அண்ட் கேட்டுட்டே இருக்கலாம் போல இருக்கு. ஜஸ்ட் ஸ்ருதி சேர்க்கறது ஒன்றும் இல்லை, நம் 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 போட்டு ஒரு தின் போட்டால் அது கேட்டுட்டு இருக்கலாம் போல இருக்கும், அவ்வளோ இதுவாக இருக்கும். And of course, take to the station when he goes back, making sure you load the mridangams in, the train, and all of those used to be part of, how he conducts himself, outside stage, and then of course, வாசிக்கிறது இருக்கவே இருக்கு. அவர் சொல்லி கொடுத்தா ஒரு ஒரு கோடு போட்டால் நம்ம ரோடு போட்டுன்னு வருவோம் அப்படின்னு அவர் எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுவார். ஆனால் நாங்கள் பண்ண மாட்டோம். அதுக்கு அவர் சொல்லி ஹி செட் த ஸோ மெனி டைம்ஸ், உங்களுக்குலாம் வந்து கிளாஸுக்கு ஃபீஸ் எடுக்கணும், ஃபீஸ் வாங்கினா தான் உங்களுக்கு புரியும் இது என்னது அப்படின்னு. பிகாஸ் those classes used to be free of charge, and we would be just replicating what he do and try to replicate whatever he is telling us, instead of thinking beyond what he is trying to say, to the take the idea and not the lesson literally. So we were not, it took us a lot of time to get to that mode. So of course, the first class he went on, he said, okay, வாசிக்க போகிறேன் சார், கண்டச்சாப்பா வாசிக்கிறேன் சார் அப்படின்னு. கண்டச்சாப்பா அப்படி சரி வாசிக்க ஆரம்பித்தேன். ஹாஃப்வே நிறுத்து, ஃபரன்ஸ் தெரியுமா அப்படின்னு. தெரியும் சார், சரி ஃபரன்ஸ்லேருந்து ஆரம்பி அப்படின்னு. ஸோ went back to ஃபரன்ஸ், ரைட்? ஸோ தி ஐடியா வாஸ் தட் வந்து நீ பேசிக் ஸ்ட்ராங் பண்ணாதான் அதுக்கப்புறம் எல்லாம் வாசிக்க முடியும், எல்லாம் இருக்குது, ஃபஸ்ட்டு பேசிக் ஸ்ட்ராங் பண்ணிக்கோ அப்படின்னு. ஸோ த சேலஞ்ச் வாஸ், அடுத்த நாள் முன்னாடி நாள் சொல்லி கொடுத்தது வந்து வாசிக்கணும். அவர் வந்து சாயங்காலம் சொல்லி கொடுப்பார். சொல்லி கொடுத்த அப்புறம் ட்ரெயின் பிடிச்சி வீட்டுக்கு போகணும். வீட்டுக்கு போய் சேரத 2 hours ஆகிடும் மினிமம். ஓகே, அப்புறம் ராத்திரி அதை ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணி தூங்கி காலம்பரை எழுந்திருந்து ஆஃபீஸ் போனோம். ஆஃபீஸ் வேலை முடிச்சுட்டு சாயங்காலமாக அது அவர் என்ன சொல்லி கொடுத்துருக்காரோ, ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம் எல்லாம் சரி, ஆனால் அது மறந்துடும். அங்கே போய் உட்காந்தா அது திரும்பி அவர் சொல்லுவார். ஓகே, அந்த 1/2 hour வந்து அவருக்கு ஞாபகம் இருக்கும் அவர் என்ன சொல்லி கொடுத்துருக்காரு, ஆனால் நம்ம மறந்துடுவோம். The idea being that if I could go back and try and understand from his perspective of what he was trying to explain, the way he was trying to explain, I think that will, if personally for me, I would like to do that, go back and take another 3 months with Raghu and relearn
Yeah,
whatever he taught, right? But it was a fantastic experience. I think once in a lifetime thing for me personally. You know, so
amazing.
Mhm.
one thing I have to say about kacheri accompaniment, right? Accompanying the kacheri, how important it is to know the kriti. A lot of times he would anticipate the level to which it's not imaginable. The live உட்காந்து புரியும் that வந்து அவர் வாசிக்கிறது இவர் வந்து பீட் somebody like Mandolin Srinivas or somebody like டிவி சங்கரநாராயணன் சார் ரெண்டு கான்ட்ராஸ்டும் இருக்கு ஒரு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்டு பிளேயர் சிங்கர் அண்ட் ஒரு up and coming. Mandolin Srinivas was still a very young kid at that time, right? So I've listened to him playing for both kind of situations live. uh, it's mind blowing.
Yes,
Of
definitely.
course, of course.
So, Uncle, now I think we're starting to come to the point where we're like, winding down. So we just have a couple of questions left to ask you. So, what who do you like to listen to? Like, who is your favorite artist to like listen to? It could be either mridangam, it can be vocal, it could be instrumental, melody. Who do you like to listen to? I mean, besides gurus.
Uh, who do I like to listen to அப்படின்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. There's not one person, but then I listened to all of your recordings from before, and I saw the recurring theme was KVN, and I want to latch on to that recurring theme. That KVN is a person or a voice or a personality that I can relate to in any state of mind, right? Whether I want to feel happy, I can turn on KVN and I feel happy about it. If I feel sad, I can turn on KVN and feel sad about it, right? If I feel like being mad at someone, I can listen to KVN and then my mind will become quiet. So if I keep KVN aside, besides KVN Raghu combination, right? Of course, people like MDR sir. MDR is, and I heard Ethirajan also talk about MDR sir. Ethirajan and I have talked at length about MDR sir and Volati. Those are some voices that God only creates them once in a lifetime, probably. So அந்த மாதிரி and the GNB is another variant of contrast between MD and GNB. I always try to listen to the same kriti. If MDR has sung, how is GNB sung that same kriti? So those are core some of the people I always listen or try to go back to. Right now I am trying to listen to Lalgudi sir's Kacheri with um, Maniera company. Manier is always there's something about his num that I don't know how he creates that num. Everything set aside வாத்தியத்தில் அந்த சவுண்ட் அந்த நமக்கு நாதம் வந்து வேற எந்த மிருதங்கத்துக்கும் இருந்தது கிடையாது. அதே
Correct,
மாதிரி
correct.
பழனி அண்ணாவோட கும்கி அது எங்கேருந்து தானோ அந்த கும்கிக்கு அந்த எஃபர்ட் வருது. ஐ இட்ஸ் அன்பிலீவபிள்.
Yeah.
So some of the things I try to look to or try to listen to and understand. Yesterday I was listening to, it was Diwali, so I turned on my favorite Sheikh Chinna Maulana. I brought that gramophone record from home, so I still have that. ஸோ அதை போட்டு அதை கேட்டு அதோட கூட வாசிக்க ட்ரை பண்ணேன். அந்த தவிலோட வாசிக்கிறது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்லி டிரான்ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் அஸ் பேக் டு how Pioneer would have accompanied. So those are some of the ones that are my personal favorites, if I can think of. And of course, I do listen to contemporary people, be it Abhishek Raghuram, or be it Sikil Gurucharan, or be it Sanjay Subramaniam, or T.M. Krishna. All of them, today have are today's what you're saying. What you think of as Carnatic music as you know it today, right? Carnatic music as it was. You can argue that today's Carnatic music can never be the Carnatic music of what it was. Maybe, times keep changing. Maybe tomorrow it can be better. So, but yeah, and I have to say that because of my background of listening to and playing other kinds of music, I also listen to Bollywood music. Not the current Bollywood music, but the prior years Bollywood music. People like Kishore Kumar, people like Mohammed Rafi, they still are very close to my heart. So if I'm driving down Wisconsin to Minnesota at 12 in the night, I turn on Kishore Kumar and try to sing with him, because that's one voice I can try to sing with and not feel guilty that I cannot, because it's just me. So, but those are some of the things. But core, when you look at Carnatic music, Avian is undoubtedly the ruler of how I think about Carnatic music.
Yeah, and ultimately, I feel the exact same way. Like you said, in any mood, Kavian. Like if I'm really happy, I listen to Vidi Boni. If I'm sad, it's a Sarasa Samadana. Any song by Kavian you can listen to any mood, and I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Hmm.
Am I hold up? Am I supposed to ask or you asking?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, we'll give it like 3 seconds. All right. So, Uncle, for any beginning, there's always some sort of motivation or like, a drive to pursue something. So, in our case, what made you pursue Carnatic music? Like, what made you say, yes, this is something that's going to help me in my future? Like, what gave you that drive?
I didn't have a choice. As in, I knew that rhythm excites me, and then I was introduced to mridangam by my sister and my mother. So I didn't have a la carte menu to choose from. Okay, which instrument would you like to pursue? So in my case, the wand found the wizard, right? Kind of a thing is what happened. The instrument found me. I didn't find the instrument. So mm,
Perfect way to describe it. Yeah.
And Uncle, actually, we actually forgot to ask this, but you're also a teacher. You're a Mridangam teacher. Can you tell us about how you like to teach, how you got into teaching and stuff like that?
um, I should say this: I'm not a teacher. I'm a learner. And by that, what I mean is, I think I have learned to become a better teacher than what I was when I first started teaching. Right? I first started teaching in 2005 on Ganesh Chaturthi day. That's when I started at the Hindu Mandir. I still know all the mistakes that I did when I taught. So teaching is the best way to learn, is what I have understood, right? Right from how it's easy to unpack, how difficult it is to unpack something, to make something someone feel that it is easy. The idea that different people are wired differently, and if this instrument has to continue, then in my little contribution is to make sure that I see that other person as somebody who can accept it the way they are wired to accept it. So it's very difficult to teacher's job is the hardest job in the planet, period. Right, everything else is easy. Here is a bunch of kids who are sitting in front of you, who are there to learn, all not because of their interest. Most kids don't come into class just because they are interested. Yes, they are interested. It's also the family that is interested. So there is the idea of keeping them and the family also continuously interested, because they have to build this ecosystem. Carnatic music cannot just survive because one teacher is teaching one student, right? அவள் வீட்டுக்கு போயிட்டு பாட்டு கேட்கணும், வரும்போது பாட்டு கேட்டுருக்கணும், அதை பற்றி பேசணும். ஓகே, நம்ம வீட்டில் ஒரு சைடில் கிளாஸ் இருக்கும்போது சைடில் ஒரு 10 வித்வானோட ஃபோட்டோஸ் இருக்குது. அந்த 10 வித்வானோட ஃபோட்டோஸ்னால் யார், அவளோட ஸ்பெஷாலிட்டி என்னது, இதெல்லாம் அவளுக்கு தெரியறதுக்கு ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இருக்கணும். அது நம்மளும் எடுத்து சொல்லணும். All of those things are there. So it's not straight for teaching is really very hard to do. And a performer is different from a teacher. Every performer cannot be a teacher. Every teacher cannot be a performer. There are good people who do both. My Vadyar, for example, is a great performer and a great teacher. It's very hard to have combinations of such individuals. So I yes, I have a few students, and I've been trying to teach, and I will keep trying to teach myself how to teach, and the students help me.
And for I just wanted to ask that question because it leads into the final question we're going to ask today. Before I ask the final question, I just want to thank you, Sriram Uncle, for taking the time out of your day to come and give us your influences on Carnatic music and giving us your perspective. It's meant a lot that you're here today. And with the final question, I think leading in with that question before leading into it would be, what advice would you like to give the younger generation of Carnatic music, the kids that are struggling to learn, the kids that need some motivation to push forward, and the people who just want to take it to the next level? What advice would you give them?
So, first of all, thank you for asking that question. I don't know what advice I can give, but if I can share something, the question that you asked had different parts to it. People who, meaning different kinds of people who are yet not ready to start learning but are thinking about, who are learning, who want to advance their skills, right? And who have already advanced skills, right? So the three different groups of people, if I want to, classify into people who are not yet learning and who want to learn anything that you learn, including mridangam or Carnatic music for that matter, is a lifetime of learning, right? My Vadyar used to say that, for example, if you are an engineer, right, and you're working, for example, think about Balaji, right? Balaji is an engineer, right? Or I'm not an engineer, but I'm working in the computer software profession, right? We learned, you know, so much of every subject. When you try to put all of that together, there's so much that we learned, right? Everything from differential statistics to calculus, to biology, to physics, to material sciences. So many things that we learned, right? And then finally, how much of what we learned are we using? This much, right? And think about Carnatic. How much can you learn, and how much do you need to know to be able to be a successful musician, right? Successful musician as in be able to present all that you learn, right? You learn so much in class, you listen so much, you practice so much, right? And then you discern and you understand how to become mature based on a combination of all of that. So what you learn is only so much, but what you have to bring is all of that, right? And that is true about any instrument that you want to take. It doesn't matter Carnatic music or any kind of music, any arts. That is what you are signing up for. So make sure that you are taking it up with an idea that, hey, this is a lifetime of work that you put into it before he gets to do any such thing, right? That is for students who are just coming in. Somebody who already started learning it and want to become more advanced in it, again, you got to put time into it for it to yield results. And that those results, don't always think about, okay, I should get 10 kacheris to sing, right? Or 10 kacheris to play mridangam. Opportunities will come. All you need to do is you go in, in search of excellence, right? And all of that success will come. So I think that's one thing that I can say for those people who are still learning and who want to make it more better. For those who are already up there, what can you do is give back to the society, give back to music, right? Create opportunities. Let the younger generation come up and play and perform and share what they know, and go out and teach and share, and always not think about, okay, where will my next spread. That's important, but at the same time it's also important that you give what you know, because the more you give, the more you will get. And that's how I have lived, and that's how I think will make the society a better place to live.
Amazing. Well, everybody, you heard it here first. If you're waiting to come into Carnatic music, then think about the lifetime of experiences that you'll have and use that as motivation to come into it. If you are struggling to get to the next level, then make sure to put in your time, take your effort, and if you're already there, give back to the society, whether it be through Sapasa Carnatic Corner, whether it be through Laya Sadam, or anything you want to do. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Um, Make sure to go check out our social links in the description. Um, Thank you so much for continuing to listen to our podcast and giving us such positive feedback. And thank you so much, Sriram Uncle, for your time.
Thank you. Namaskar.
This is Damon signing off.